But how do you guys personally organize or keep track of all of that literature that you're pulling in, and especially if you work with collaborators, since even in fields in the humanities that are traditionally have fewer co-authors, but in the social sciences, definitely in the sciences, you're always collaborating with people. So how do you kind of keep that organized, both personally and within your group, to kind of keep a handle on what you've read, how it's going to fit into your research project? So any tips that you can have? I mean, my office is right over there, so if you go look at my office, you're going to say, this guy's a librarian, nothing in here is organized. So any tips would be appreciated.
I was kind of hoping that somebody would have the magic bullet thing, because I don't, every time I start a new project, it's like, all right, I'm going to do it this way this time, and then I wind up just kind of reverting back to printing off PDFs and carrying around the vanilla folders with a bunch of stuff. But I use EndNote a lot. I create groups and subfolders in EndNote for collaborations. I use Dropbox a lot, and put private documents or spreadsheets or whatever in Dropbox. It's not an airtight system, so hopefully somebody else has the airtight system.
As much as I try to learn how to organize things in EndNote, and what as much as you're trying to help me, I don't use that much. Gosh, I feel like an academic field sign up for that. But Dropbox, I use Dropbox, and I organize things within folders of the topic. Of course, sometimes that spans different areas. But I have like one for just for PDFs. And within that I have different sections, and I have the author and the year, and sometimes, depending on how much time I have, at least part of the title. Once you get too long, you start running into too many folders, you can't have that many characters. And that way you can sort it. I hardly have any. I've taken all of my favorite stuff. I used one time I had like a TA who had some extra hours, and so I had some stacks. Gave them stacks of things, had them scan them in, and they're in folders now, so like everything, and so I can access it anywhere I can be, not only on the internet, but it's on my computer, so I hardly ever use paper copies of anything.
You should have it. I don't like reading on the computer, though, so I always wind up printing it out to read it, and then I take my notes on it, and then I think, I'll put them onto the PDF, and I never do.
Yeah, I like reading it better on the hard copy, but it gets disorganized. Like I'm doing a lot of reviews. I've got zillions of articles, and so I have to do this, And so I started writing on the PDF, writing on it with Adobe Acrobat Pro, and just making notes on it, typing on it, and loading things, and just never write on the article. You can also take it off that way too, and do it.
So I suppose this went on in the maybe generation, because my kids, they get some popular magazines, but they read them on their electronic devices. They have no need to have them in their hands. And I have a stack of magazines on the side of my bed, and I would much rather have them in my hands. And I feel the same is true how I approach the literature review process. But that's not the first thought that came to mind when you asked that. My first thought was the management of the whole process depends on who I'm working with. If I'm working with students who cycle through every 2 to 3 years, I feel like I do a lot more teaching and managing of that. If I'm working with people who are peers in my field, we kind of have figured out what each one of our strengths are. So the division of labor there is much more intuitive and rough. And it's just different experiences because of those different needs.
One thing I found, you have to move. You have all these PDFs. It literally becomes cost prohibitive. And then you're like, well, these are older than 5 years, do I even want to be moving them? Even if it's a move down the hallway or what have you. And not only that, it's much easier for me to find something electronically than old files. So I'm trying, but the problem is we're all on the computer 8-10 hours a day, and you feel like your eyes are going to fall out if you read any more on the screen. So I can relate to my colleagues. I guess if I was starting out now, I would try to really have a sophisticated EndNote library with subfolders and really well organized. I have a variation of that on a flash drive where everything's labeled in different categories and pretty well organized. And even if I see an article I don't have time to read, I try to file it away, thinking if I do some research in that area, at least I'll have some articles grouped together. But that's pretty much how I approach it.
I try to take a discipline pill from time to time. You know, you go through a number of different articles, and I like the word time or the lack thereof. And you know, yes, it's the author, yes, it's the year, and how much the title. I will tell you though that I have, in working with my doctoral students, EndNotes has been very helpful. Organization by class and research project, and colleagues then were using Dropbox a lot. But I have found my iPad to really be a key tool for me. I use a software package called iAnnotate. It can be, there are a lot of them out there on the market, but I quit trying to carry anything that has paper with it. That's not always the case, but that has been helpful for me. And I have to tell myself that it is okay to deal with the screen and this thing that you can write on. And I don't even write well with a pen, let alone the stylus, but it's working. So that for me has, over the past 3 years, been a total difference in the way I've handled the whole literature scenario.
Yeah, that paper electronic thing, you know, and like you said, it might be generational. You know, I got my library degree the year that the first web browser came out. So it was kind of like my professional career is, you know, is just kind of track the internet, and so it's always, you know, kind of spanned both of those, and you know, so now this is, you know, like you said, this is my constant companion, and you know, I try to do whatever I can to get it in there. I know that EndNote, which most of you mentioned, you know, every new update, they kind of try to increase that collaboration ability. You know, the latest one, you can, it's still not perfect, because you kind of have to share everything, you know, or create separate accounts to share just parts of it. But I'm definitely, maybe it's the library mindset. I would rather put the note, you know, make a note on it and then have some way that I can go in and just search through the notes that I put on, you know, an electronic document, and just pull up the articles that I noted, like methodology or, you know, lack of evidence, you know, and I can just look for any article that I tagged, you know. So